Hello everyone, please put pluses into the chat. It's in the right side of your browser that you can hear me well. If there are some problems with audio or video, please let me know so I can check. Okay. Let's just wait for a couple of minutes for other people who can join us, and then we will start. In general, the recording will be available after the webinar, so I will share it with you if you decide to try what I will show to you. And during the webinar, I will run several polls. So I will greatly appreciate if you could answer them, so they will help us to consider what other webinars we can organize for you and run, and topics which you're interested in. So we're waiting for a couple of minutes. Just while we are waiting, please look through the interface of the webinar application. To the right side, there is chat, polls, and handouts. Before the QA session, I will share with you different handouts that we have for you regarding Confluence Cloud and Jira Cloud, so you can use them to work with Atlassian Cloud products. And in a couple of minutes, I will start my presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. So we're waiting for other people. Let's wait for a bit. I'm sharing a poll. Please vote. And one more poll here. For those of you who work extensively with Atlassian Cloud products, you can join our Stealth Cloud community. I have shared the link to it, so feel free to sign up. And here you can find some useful information, daily tips, and a lot of other information regarding Atlassian products and Atlassian applications. And of course, you can ask me and my team your questions about Atlassian products if you have any problems with them. Okay, so we are waiting for one more minute and we will start. If you have some problems with video or audio, just let me know in the chat. If everything is fine, so please put pluses so I can see that everyone can hear and see me well. Okay, that's fine. So a couple of seconds and we will start. Before I start, could you please also tell me a bit about yourself, what you are doing in your companies and why you're interested in Atlassian Cloud products? Just a couple of words. I have shared my email. If you have any questions after the webinar or you have any suggestions or ideas, just feel free to contact me by this email, and I will try to ask you questions or help you with your cases. Okay, so it's time to start our webinar, and today I will be talking about Confluence Cloud for product teams and their needs, how you can use this great collaboration platform for producing documentation for your product team, for organizing content and structuring Confluence pages. Just before we start, a couple of words about the companies that I work at. I work at Stillsoft. This is a gold vendor on the Atlassian marketplace. We're also the silver Atlassian solution partner. We have more than 4,000 customers in all over the world. We have 20 apps on the Atlassian marketplace, and we develop different kinds of solutions for Jira, Confluence, and Bitbucket, which enrich their capabilities and empowers our users. If we're talking about the cloud products, this is the most well-known apps of ours which you can try. So Smart Attachments for Jira, it allows you to perform some document management features in Jira Cloud. Table Filter and Charts for Confluence provides the table aggregation, filtration, and transformation capabilities. Courses and Quizzes allows you to organize the learning management system on the basis of Confluence, and Handy Macros for Confluence helps you to make Confluence more interactive, and you can use its capabilities to change settings and statuses and dates in page without editing them. And who I am. So, about myself, a couple of words. I'm a product manager of Smart Attachments for Jira and Confluence. I'm also the head of the R&D team. We work on different new Confluence and Jira Cloud apps. So I have experience about 3 years with Atlassian Cloud products, and today I will share my experience with you, so you can see how you can benefit from using Confluence Cloud and how you can use its capabilities to take advantage of everything what it provides to you. And just the quote of the day: behind every successful team there is always a leader and a cool Confluence space. This is true because every team should have a leader who can push it towards new objectives, and just to track everything, all information that the team manages, you should use some collaboration platform for this. So I will share my screen, it will be a live presentation, so I will guide you through the Confluence page, how you can organize it, and if you have any questions, please use chat. At the end of the webinar I will answer your questions, and don't leave us until the end, because I will share the handouts before the Q&A session. So I'm sharing my screen. Here it is. If you have a product team which works in Confluence Cloud, it's vital to create a space where this team can keep all the information that they manage, that they create about the product, everything which is important to remember, and so on and so forth. But in general, when you start creating a new space for a product team, the dashboard page is the key thing which you should consider. So when someone comes to this space, he should quite quickly understand what this team is doing, what objectives it has, who works within this team, how their processes are organized, and so on and so forth, what tasks they have, and a lot of other things. So the dashboard page should be quite simple, but good structured and quite easy to understand. So in my case, here you can see the structure of a dashboard page, and I will edit this page to show you how you can build something like this, or use just the parts of it for building some kind of your own variant. So, as you know, Confluence Cloud, it provides some kind of layouts which allows you to split your page into different columns. So that's a basic thing which every one of you, I assume, should know. Once you have created these page layouts, you can further split them into two columns. One is white column, the other is an arrow column. And within the first column, you can put important information about the team. So every team should have some kind of a mission. So they have some target, some objective which they want to achieve, and the strategies that they will apply to it. Of course, every team should have some objectives, because when you're developing a product, you have some metrics, you have some KPIs, and you have some objectives which you want to achieve. So this is the easiest way to track them, so everyone can access them, to show them on the dashboard page. And the easiest way to list them, it will be to use the action items. The other thing, when someone comes to find information about your team, is just to show what roles you have within your team. So this is just another piece of information that should be put on this page. And for doing this, I use the expand macro. So when you save the page, it will not take much space of the page to show information, and everyone can expand everything he wants to see. The other feature which you want to show to visitors of your space is who is within your team. So for this case, I'm using the page properties wrapper macro. This is just a must-have macro in Confluence, and you should try to use it at first, and then you will understand all its capabilities and what you can do with it. It's a very convenient macro because it allows you to create metadata on Confluence pages, and then you can pull this metadata, either all values or just a part of it, and show it within the wrapper. And in my case here, my page properties wrapper macro pulls the list of teammates with their position and responsibilities. For doing this, I have assigned a label to pages of these people. I will show you later how these pages, standalone pages, they look. And here I am just using the label to pull these pages, and I'm just referencing the current space. So that's all what you need to do, and the result you receive the automatically generated table with a list of all teammates within your team. Going further, it's also vital to list the work principles that your team uses in their work. And in this case, you can list this information so everyone can see what you use, why are you using Kanban, why you use rights, and so on and so forth. So you can list all this information. And of course, every team has some special ceremonies or processes that they use on a daily or on a regular basis, and it's very critical to list them so everyone, when opens your space, they can see this information at once. And of course, every product cannot live without its roadmap. By default, you can use the built-in Confluence roadmap planner macro. It's very simple to edit and just create a new roadmap. So you can add quickly lanes. Here on the lane, you can add new bars. You can further regulate them according to your timeline, put it. And for each lane, you can link pages. So in the page mode, you will be able to click and open this page at once. Additionally, you can also put markers or milestones that will be visible on your roadmap, so you can quickly understand on what date some important event should happen. This is if you want to use Confluence. Usually, when you work in Jira, it's you can also reuse the roadmap from Jira. So in this case, you will edit your roadmap in one place and just place its record on a Confluence page, and so all the modifications that you made in Jira, they will be automatically reflected. Just to do this, you just need to click share and copy the link. So instead of this roadmap, you can also paste the link and After this, you will see the roadmap from your Jira, which you can see and through which you can navigate. To the right side of the page, here we have the search macro, which allows us to search for specific pages within the space. And of course, we have the children display macro just to better show the top level pages. We are using here the depth of descendants as 2 and heading style as 4. So in this case, we'll see just the main pages as outstanding. So when I save the page, as you can see here, I have my roadmap. I can expand to see what I have here. I can browse through this roadmap, and all the changes that you make in Jira, they will be automatically reflected on your Confluence page. So when someone from your management team comes, and they can see instantly what you're working on. Otherwise, you can use a built-in, but this macro is more just like for planning, because usually what we plan can greatly differ from what we really do in real life. And here you can just type some name of the page. Of course, it's cloud, it may be a little bit slow. In some cases it's slow and does not want to search. But anyway, you can use this search to find quickly pages or navigate through your top level pages to see what kind of information you have. So this is what relates the dashboard page. Of course, every product team is comprised of people, and it's very vital to keep this information within Confluence. So in our case, our team looks like a page which is automatically generated, and here we also have a button to add a new team member. So if we click it, our Confluence Cloud will open a new page where you can fill out some new person and list all the information about this person. So then, for example, I can fill some position like CPO, so handy macros team, and a lot of other information. Here on the page, I also have the Jira macro. It's a very convenient and very useful macro, which allows you to pull information from Jira related to Jira tasks which this person has. In our case, this is a page template, so when you create a new team member, you need to make some adjustments there. You need just to create, to add the name of the assignee here, and after this it will refresh the page and will show my actual tasks. And the same relates to Confluence tasks. So here I use the task report macro. This macro allows you to generate the list of tasks which you are set as assignee, and in this case you can quickly find what you should do and monitor some new tasks if they appear. So in this case I also need to select the user for whom we want to show these tasks. If needed, you have a lot of different capabilities just to filter out the necessary tasks that you have. So you can filter by label, by the creation date, and by status. Of course, you should consider that the number of tasks per page is limited, so you can show up to 40, and then it will open a new page for your tasks. And of course, you can also set the sorting options, whether you want to sort by due date, by assignee, or by page title. If we just go back to our team and to our people, here we have the page properties report macro, which pulls all the information about people from the page properties macro. Here it is. Here we have a table. I'm sorry for these slowdowns. but this is Confluence Cloud, and if you're working with it, you may notice that sometimes it works quite slowly. So here we also have the page properties macro, and within this macro we have a table with 2 columns, and each column represents some kind of the metadata field which stores this value. And our the page properties report macro allows you to pull this data from these macros and show it in the resulting table. So when you add new teammates or when you are making changes, this table will be automatically updated and you will see all the latest changes in it, so you needn't all the time go and update it in 2 places. And what is the best about this macro is that you can reuse these metadata values for generated other reports. For example, if we are talking about a large company, you can, for example, list all the product analysts that work in your company, or all QA engineers, or for example, you can create a report which will unite multiple teams. Of course, here you should be careful, because you need to assign a label which will be used to pull all this data from the macro, and without this label it may fail. So just consider this. Of course, every product should have its own documentation, and here we have the product documentation page with its children. Of course, any product starts with its product vision, so here just keep it simple as possible. Use some kind of product link canvas or the product vision templates which you can use. As you can see, here we have just a plain table with emojis which simplifies the perception of this information, and everything is quite simple. So when a non-technical person comes, he can quietly see and find information which he really needs. So here you try to keep it as simple as possible. Going further, every product starts from MVP, then it works to MMP, which is called like minimum marketable product, and finally it should end like MLP, like minimum lovable product. So in our case, we have just a set of macros within our product, and for the start we create an MVP, and we use just a simple table with emojis to indicate that this macro will be included in one release and will not be, and further it will be shipped with additional macros that we will develop in future. The easiest way, so keep it simple and do not show additional details which may puzzle or confuse people out of your team. Regarding product requirements, it's also very vital to keep this information within Confluence, so when someone from the management team comes to your Confluence, they can quickly find this information. I cannot say that you should you must use the native template for this, but in general it's very optimal, so you can just try to make some minor adjustments, and you can use this template for keeping your product requirements. Of course, we are not talking about the outsourcing projects, because in this case you need a more complex tool, but if we are talking about the requirements for product, everything is much simpler, and you can use the Confluence page template for keeping product requirements. The list of requirements again is collected with our page properties report macro, which pulls our pages with requirements and shows them as a single table. It's very vital to use this macro because it shows you the document status, the target release, the epic which this product stage relates, and of course information about document owners and tech lead. And of course you can change the set of columns here which you want to show. So it's up to you to decide what information is important to show and which is not. And as you may notice, here we also have the button, so try to stick as possible to some common templates within your team. It will be easier for you in future to maintain this documentation when it will have the same structure, and you will not have to go through all the pages and changing and adjusting their structure. So when we are proceeding to the product requirements page, it has a specific structure. So if, for example, unfortunately you click create and start a new page not from template, here you can use the templates and you can find your product requirement template, which you can further load. So in our case, we're using a little bit customized variant of this template. We have removed some parts of information from it. So just from here, from the sidebar, you can quickly select the necessary template without just going back to the previous page and just creating it from the template button. If we just edit our page, we can see, if we open our page, we can see that it contains a lot of information about a stage within our product development that we want to implement. So we have information about the release, we have information about objectives which we want to achieve with introducing this piece of information. Of course, we have success metrics. These metrics we will use to understand whether what we have done, it was successful or not, whether we need to adjust something, whether we meet our KPIs. And of course, here you can also track some assumptions about implementing this functionality. And of course, we have requirements and some kind of information of mockups or prototypes, whatever you keep there. And at the end, we have some open questions which are left after the discussion of this or that piece of functionality, and we also list some information regarding the requirements or things which are out of scope within this development stage. So, for example, in some cases, if you need to reuse these user stories and create them in Jira, you can just select this text snippet, click Create Issue, add some summary, for example, like editing of statuses, and click Create. So in this case, Confluence, if it's connected to Jira Cloud, it will create a separate issue within your Jira project, and this issue link, it will appear here, so you can quickly trace this page within the issue and vice versa. So for example, if I open this issue, here you can see the page where it is mentioned, so it's very easy to trace all the information that you keep and find where it was mentioned. If we're talking about product requirements, we have just small pieces of functionality within our product, so we create a new page for each macro where we keep essential information why we need to implement this or that macro, what we expect from it, and how what it should look like. Going further, before product requirements, in some cases you may like to use product use cases. I strongly recommend you to create a common template for keeping use cases, and so that you can quickly output them with a children display macro. It will show the list of all the pages under the parent page, and so that you can list all your use cases. And again, here we use the create template button, which points at our use case template page, and it allows you to create pages only of the specific type. So this just reduces the risk that someone selects or just creates some custom page without the structure that you expect. So why it's vital to keep use cases? Of course, in some cases you may use Jira for this, but just for development purposes, it's much easier to create a catalog of such use cases and keep them in Confluence. And additionally, if needed, you can create some table with the page properties macro, and if needed, show the link to the Jira issues which address this or that use case. In our case, it looks like this. So here we keep all the basic information about the use case. Additionally, we keep visuals that illustrate what should be done. And also we list some special UI behavior if there are some specifics in it, and we also track messages. But of course, in your case, it may greatly differ, so just use it, try to implement use case as a table template and use it for your work. Work of every team is also deals with customers. We run different interviews with them, we ask them different questions, and they help us to answer them. And to keep this information, you cannot just use Excel, Word, or something like this to keep this information somewhere hidden from your teammates, because they should be able to quickly access it and view what your customers think about your product, what they want to improve in it. And the customer interview is just a way how to keep it, so that we have a customer interview template in our Confluence where we track all the essential information about customers, their demographics, background information, and of course key discoveries after running an interview with this customer. What is interesting about this page that it's very simple. We have a table which is we have 3 tables which are separated by headings, but at the bottom of this we have just an excerpt macro where we write some kind of a summary about this customer, whether he likes our product or not, whether he would like to stay with us or he plans to look for some other products. It's very useful to keep some kind of excerpt within it, where you can list all this information. So, for example, if someone comes, he can quickly find this information on the list of this product interviews. So here, if we edit our page, we can see that we have the children display macro, but it has one option enabled. It uses the excerpt display option, which shows the rich context. So in this case, our children display macro pulls information from our excerpt macro and shows it here. So when someone comes to this page, he can quickly see what customers think about your product, which of them are potentially may leave you, or which of them will continue with you. So this information can quickly shown here, and you needn't all the time navigate through separate pages just looking where is this information. And what I'm using in my everyday work, I'm using these emojis to indicate the must-have features in our app and nice-have features. So I'm using these bulbs. Bulb on, it means that this feature is important to the customer and he will not continue using our product without it. And the bulb off shows that this is not a critical feature, but in future he would like or she would like to have this feature and see it within our app. Of course, every team also runs different experiments, and for you it's also very important to have some kind of a list of these experiments, so other teams can quickly come and see what experiments you have run, which of them were failed, which of them were successful. In most situations your experiments will fail, but some of them may be success, and so you can share this information with them. In our case, again, we have this button which will create an experiment according to our template. But let's just see the experiment, how it is filled out with information. Again, if we edit this page, what we can see is that here I'm using again the page properties macro, which is one of my favorite macros. And here we have the status of the experiment. Here we keep the phase which it addresses. We also specify hypothesis, then the validation workflow. We define success criteria, either direct or indirect, and we also can track tasks, whether we have a separate Jira issue for this, and we also can keep notes for this or that experiment. So here I'm also using some kind of emojis to indicate that our success criteria are not met, so our experiment is failed, and here also have the phase which addresses. And here I'm not using just the native status macro, I'm using the handy macros app. And this app allows you to change statuses in the page view mode. So what you need, you just click the status and you can check something else, for example. And the same I can use like a drop for a drop down. So for example, let's say we want to address the retention phase, and this information will be updated. Again, if we get back to our list of experiments that we have run, here you can see all this information too, and our page properties wrapper macro pulls all this information. But what you should consider that you shouldn't forget about the label, because without the label the page properties wrapper macro will not produce any results. And if needed, for example, what you can do just to show, for example, successful or failed experiments, you can go to your page with the experiment description and you can add some additional label. So here we have experiment, here we also track the R phase. In our case it has changed, so let's just change it for retention. And also you can track one more one label like failed or something like this, just depending on your needs. And in this case, our page properties wrapper macro will pull this information and will show it within your table. But what is better that, for example, you can use the same page properties wrapper macro to collect all the experiments from all the spaces of your Confluence and show them as a table. For example, you're interested in the successful experiments. You can use the page properties wrapper macro, the same approach, but you will just add some additional label which will show only the successful. Or for example, you're interested in failed experiments or ongoing, something like this. And in this case, the page properties wrapper macro can greatly help you to get this information aggregated, so you can keep it and view in one place. And why I'm talking so much about the page properties macro, because it allows you to keep the metadata about pages and reuse it in any situation when you need it. And again, if you remember, I was talking about the handy macros app. You can also change the statuses in the page view mode. Okay, so here it is, and for example, I can change status here for failed, and I also can change the phase for something like acquisition. And this information, these changes, they will be automatically reflected on our target page. So here it is. So when you have experiments, you track them, everyone can quickly access these pages and see this information on your Confluence pages. So looks like we have some connectivity issues probably. Okay, so you can also keep another kind of documentation that also depends on the processes, on your approaches and your workflows, but just a common way to use tables. You can use the page properties macro and use the page properties wrapper macro just to generate a list of these pages and see how your structure of content, how you can organize it in a better way. Then, of course, every product team, it runs different meetings, and here I will not tell you that you should create your own template for keeping meeting notes. You can use a native document template which Atlassian provides. Again, here if we open our meeting notes, here we can see the list of incomplete tasks. Here we can also see the list of decisions after our meetings, and here we have a list of all meeting notes. So let's see how this page is organized. So here we have again the macro which creates templates of pages, so no one will create some other page which is not expected to have within the section. Here we use a task report macro which collects information from our pages with tasks. Here we specify the label meeting notes, so we just use tasks from meeting notes, and so everyone from your team can see what tasks are assigned to him or to her, and work on them without losing the focus on them. And again, decisions. This is just a new micro in Confluence Cloud. It's not available in Confluence Server and Confluence Data Center, but you can also use it while working on meetings. And it allows you to keep decisions that you made while discussing this or that topic. It also works very simply. You just select the space and you select the label. All the other work it will do itself, and it will collect all your decisions that were made while discussing this or that scene, so you can just quickly see everything in one place. And here I use just the content report table just to list all my meeting notes. So its configuration is pretty simple, just label and space, and that's all. If needed, if you have, for example, a lot of meetings, you can divide them into some groups like regular meetings, stand-ups, planning sessions, sprint, design sprints, or what other meetings you run. So when, for example, if we open the meeting notes page, it's also organized very simply. Here we have just a list of headings and information regarding this or that section. So here we have goals, discussion topics, and so on and so forth. For example, for action items, we use the action items list where we list our tasks, and we also specify the Confluence user who is responsible for fulfilling this task. The same way we also track decisions. So we have a lot of pages with action items and decisions, and our parent page collects this information and shows it within a table, so everyone can see what relates to his or her activities and responsibilities, and you work on these tasks at once. Going further, every product it also deals with development, and you need also to track this information, because if you're a product manager, you can also go all the time to Jira and Confluence, and all the time these transitions, they can drive you crazy, especially when you're also having some additional calls with customers, some additional meetings with stakeholders, and so on and so forth. So it's very vital for you just to have to get a quick overview of tasks. And here you can just create a simple page that can simplify your experience with Jira issues, and you can see them at once. What you need to do is just to create a new page and paste here the Jira macro. In our case, our macro works with specific epics because every new development stage implements one epic. Or for example, if you're working on sprints, you can here specify the sprint. Or if you are working with versions, you can here specify the version. Anyway, as a result, you will receive the list of tasks, which will be automatically reflected once you open this page, and you can see the status of each issue. Additionally, we have just some common Jira charts, because as a product manager, you are more interested in the results, not just in the process itself. This is more like the responsibility of a project manager to see how the development process is going on. You as a product manager is more you more concentrate on the final results, whether the team can deliver this functionality or not, whether something unexpected happens. And these just simple charts, they can show you all the essential information about your project without some details. If you need details, you can go to Jira itself and see what you need. So within the Jira chart macro, here we also have a very simple query which uses the project and just pulls information about the child issues of the epic that we have. And so that when the development is in progress, you can see how many tasks were completed, how many of them are open. You can see also the load on developers, and if, for example, you're having bugs, a lot of them, you can see them also too. Additionally, it's sometimes you may need to track the weekly reports. So who of your team, what has done during the weekend, during this week, and what plans he has for the next week, so you can better understand whether everything is running smoothly or whether your teammates they have some concerns regarding what you are doing. So in this case, you can try to use a very simple but very effective report. It's called weekly report. What you can do. Here we have just a table with a list of persons, and they just list what they have completed this week or what they plan to do next week. So this way you can track whether your team stick to the plan or whether they have some other activities which distract them from the main objectives of what you are doing. And with this table, it just takes a couple of minutes to fill out the information of what you have done and what you plan to do next, and you as a product manager can quickly see and better plan. For example, next week you can discuss some additional information that appears from what people plan to do. So this is how it works. And of course, you need to track release notes, and this also can be done in Confluence Cloud with ease. And again, here we have a simple page. We have a button which creates a template of the page that we needed, and we have the children display macro, which shows also the excerpts from our child pages with information about small pieces of information about what was really added into this release. So you needn't all the time go to a specific page just to see what's going on there. You just can go through these excerpts and see what's going on. So, but when we go, for example, into this page, here you can see that everything is also very simple. Here we have the excerpt where we add quick information about what was done within the release, just a summary, and we also have the section what new features were done and what we fixed in this release or improved or something like this. So in our case, we can see all our release notes in one place, and if needed, you can create them through the button, and you can use, and you will not create some other page which differs from what you expect. And the last tip is more just from me. It's very vital for you to label your pages, because sometime later when your product grows, you will notice that you need just to list use cases, to list experiments, release notes, and so on and so forth, and just to divide them into some kind of groups and so on and so forth. And in this case, you can use the content by label macro. It's very useful label. Our customers are using also it extensively in their Confluence Cloud instances. And what it does, you just specify the label, and it will list you the number of content items. It can list pages or attachments, blog posts, and so on and so forth. And as a result, you will get a list of content pieces that have a specific label, which you can see at once. Further, you can, for example, divide them into some meaningful pages where you can see all the use cases, experiments, or release notes, for example, or if needed, you can combine them with information from other spaces. So this is what relates. Of course, when you are working in Confluence, you should think about templates, and in our case you can find them right here. So user created templates, you can create new templates, you can customize the existing ones, and so that templates allows you to keep the standard approach to management of Confluence spaces, and allows you to have a common structure of your pages, so no one will introduce something new. And if, for example, in future you will decide to propagate the same methods for managing products to other teams, you can reuse your templates and share them with other teams. Or or for example, you can create a global template, so everyone from your company will be able to use this or that template within their spaces. So if we just summarize everything what you can do in Confluence, so here just a couple of advices from me. Try to use labels, label pages, label attachments, and so that in future you will be able to find attachments or, for example, pages or blog posts when you need them. And this will help you in future, because when you have not much content, it's easier to find things, but when your spaces grow, it will be quite difficult to find what you are looking for. Then try to use templates. When you are working on some page, try to see whether this structure is optimal, whether you want to do something to it, or probably you can elaborate a better approach for this page structure, and so that you can in future create some template which can be shared within your space, and you will stick to a specific structure of your Confluence pages, and no one will create some custom pages that will give you additional problems in future. Then try to keep your pages as simple as possible, because if you add too many macros, it will be difficult for everyone to navigate through them. And of course, keep in mind that when you show a lot of unnecessary information, it can distract your users, visitors, or readers from what you want to show to them. And of course, try to use macros, because some macros that can be very useful. For example, the page properties report macro can help you in a lot of different situations, and it can list content of specific types and again specific labels, so you can quickly find what you're looking for. And of course keep information organized, so just do not keep fragments of use cases in one space and keep them under other pages and so on and so forth. You will after some time it will be easier for you to trace all pages when you keep them in one place and just go and pick them from other pages or spaces or somewhere else. So this is what I wanted to show you about Confluence for product teams. So now I will stop sharing my screen, and I will try to answer your questions if you have. In general, if you get interested in this space template, you can drop a message to me at my email, and I will share the export of this space with you, so you can try to use it. So I'm waiting for your questions, but I also want to share with you some resources. I will share with you the anatomy of Confluence Cloud macros, so you can see how you can use this or that macro in particular situation. And I will also share part of our guide how to start with next-gen projects in Jira Cloud. So if you get interested, you can request the full copy after the webinar. So, do you have any questions regarding Confluence Cloud? I have also submitted 2 polls. Please tell me what you think about the webinar. If it was very poor, just let me know. We will adjust it. If it wasn't so bad, just let me know, so I can better understand how you like it or not. Okay, so we have... Okay, I will share the recording with you. other questions regarding the organization, regarding the macros, whatever you can do? Jamal, regarding the Confluence Cloud, everything is not so simple, and here you should consider that Atlassian Cloud is quite limited in its capabilities for third-party apps. We were considering implementation of smart attachments for Confluence Cloud, but unfortunately its functionality will be quite limited if comparing to the server or data center version. If you can, please submit an email. Please send an email to me, and we can have a quick call to discuss what we can implement and whether it will fit your needs. Okay, Oleg, answer to your question. What are the differences in using macros in server and cloud versions? In general, if we are talking about Confluence Cloud and all the native macros, when you move from server to cloud, you will not find great differences in them. Of course, the look of macros may differ. For example, Confluence Cloud, you have a bit more macros, something like decision wrapper. Some macros are not available, but they are not very popular macros which are not available. So if you transition from server or data center to Confluence Cloud, you can continue this, and in nearest time Atlassian will implement the migration mechanism. So this will simplify the migration of content from your Confluence server to Confluence Cloud. Okay, John, do you have plans to keep cloud and data center apps in sync? We try to implement all the features which we have in our apps. We have also Google Analytics, which shows how our users are using our apps, and so that we prioritize what features we include or exclude from our cloud apps. And of course, here you should consider that Atlassian cloud products, they are about security, and security means limitations, and a lot of things we cannot implement, and a lot of REST API endpoints are closed for third-party apps. And in general, all apps, they work within iframes, which provides additional limitations of what we can deliver, and that's the main problem for us as a third-party vendor regarding what we can do. So we try to deliver the same functionality, but in some cases we cannot do everything which is available in our server or data center apps, so we just deliver what we can at the moment. So probably in future something will change, but at the moment we have to act according to the current situation. Do you have any other questions, probably regarding some macro? Pavel, yes, we plan to introduce some features. I think that my team will be able to start work by the end of this month. If you are interested in some particular features, just please contact me by email. We can have a quick call to discuss what features you expect from our app, and so that I can better understand how soon we can implement it, features that you really need. John, you're welcome. Have a nice day. Okay, if you have some questions regarding handouts, or for example you have some questions about Atlassian Cloud products, or you want some additional webinar on some specific topic, just please drop an email to my email address, and I will check what we can do for you. If you're interested in the export of the space, just drop a message to me, and I will create an export and will share with you, so you can see how it was implemented if something wasn't clear during the webinar. Okay. Oleg, could you please tell me what topics regarding the Atlassian Cloud administration you are interested in? If possible, please drop an email to me and we can discuss the topics so that we... Okay, user management. Okay, we can consider this option. Okay, so if we do not have more questions, so I think that we can finish our webinar. We have just spent 1 hour. I hope this time was a pleasure for you and you have find something interesting. And I hope to see you on our next webinars when we organize them. So please keep in mind and follow our events. Okay, thanks everyone for your time. Thanks for joining my webinar. If you have any questions, please use the email. I will try to answer all your questions. Of course, expect some delays from me because it may happen that I can be very busy, but I will do my best to answer all your questions. So, hope to see you on our next webinars, and I think that I will finish this webinar. So have a nice evening, have a nice day, and it was my pleasure to show this webinar to you. So see you next time. Bye bye.